Hey gang, so I'm actually going to make two videos right now. They might be both a little bit long, but they're for anyone out there who's struggling a little bit with these classes and some of the complexity of our Mario game. Maybe you got a little bit behind. These things happen. So I'm going to toss you a little lifeline here and make you a super simple Mario game. Um, and you can use this to make your own game. In this first video, we're just going to make a Mario character that goes to this coin and collects it. And in the second video, we'll add some stuff like a start screen and the ability to have mini coins. But the second video will be a little more complex, and you can decide whether that's too complex for you. And you see now we get a score, and we'll be able to complete the level. But I'm just gonna leap into it, and we're gonna make this game here. That's just gonna have a character and a goal. And when you get to the character, or when you get to the goal, something is gonna happen. So the most simple type of game. And I'm gonna just go ahead and just start completely from scratch. So I'm gonna make a folder over here, and I'm just gonna call it gamey. And by the way, these are all of these. I did all these in separate repos for anyone who's struggling with this whole GitHub thing. So you can start here with game no classes 1. These videos are going to do game no classes 1, 2, and 3. This first one, sorry. And the second one will do game no classes 5. Maybe 4. I don't know. I'm not sure how I'm going to break it down. We'll see how long this gets. All right, so I've got my gamey folder here, and there's nothing in it. The first thing I need is I need to get the P5 library, and you can get it from these repos. So you can actually start. You don't have to do any of the coding yourself if you don't want to. And so you can go to just game no classes 5 and download it. And maybe that's a great place to start, just in terms of making sure you get all the libraries at once. And we'll just take a look at what those are. So these libraries are in this libs folder, and ultimately we're going to use the P5 DOM and the P5 sound and just the regular P5. In this first video, we won't be using the sound or the DOM, but I'm going to go ahead and there's my gamey. I'm going to drag that libs folder in there, and I'll drag the index.html in there. And so now I should be able to, let's see, where's my gamey? I'm going to drag this gamey folder onto my VS Code icon. And in VS Code, I've got some stuff. And I added some styling for the start button. We're not going to use that for now. We won't use the sound or the DOM, but those also won't hurt us when we're just writing this this first stuff. And you know what? I'm going to grab those assets too. Okay, so actually I wanted to copy that folder. So I'm gonna remove folder from workspace, and this time when I drag it over, I'm gonna copy folder. So now it'll be a copy in my, you'll see in my gamey. We've got now assets, libs, and our index.html. Again, for this first one, we're just gonna use regular P5. And so I'm gonna make a sketch.js, and you can see I already imported that in my body here. All right, so let's make a simple game in P5. We'll need to have a setup function, and we'll need to have a draw function. And in this, what am I trying to say here? Sorry. In this setup function, we're going to create our canvas. Oops, I didn't need to do all that. We're going to create our canvas, and I'm going to go ahead and pass in a canvas width and a canvas height. And those are going to be constants that I'm going to declare. And I'm going to use that technique that I have been suggesting, which is to use window.innerWidth, which is going to give me the width of whatever the browser window is. And we'll do the same for canvas height. We'll get window.innerHeight. So now, if I go to my draw loop and I set a background, something pretty dark, we should see that our browser window loads this canvas. Good to check and just make sure everything's working. And there we go. So I've got that color that I specified in this background. So I've created a canvas, I've created a background color, and we're ready to go. So what I'm going to do is just start out. We're going to just use basic shapes, and what we'll do is we'll have a goal. Oops. And that's going to be a rectangle, and I sure hate it when it does that. So helpful. And I want rect. And I'll just hit escape so it doesn't do that. And we're going to also have a circle for the, we'll call it a ball, and the ball is going to try to get in a goal. So we're going to need some values for these two colors and these positions. And always better to use variables for those. So I'm going to go ahead and just call this goal color, and I'll call this ball color. And this is going to be goal X, goal Y, goal width, and goal height. And actually, I think on the repo, I did that as just goal size, but I'm going to stick with this goal width and goal height, and we'll just define those independently. And so this is going to be ball X, ball Y, and I'm just going to use ball size here. You know what? Let's just go ahead and use ball width, ball height, even though we'll set those to be the same for now. Okay, so we need to define those variables that we just already started using. So this is going to be, if I save this over here, it's going to give me some errors in the console. Goal color is not defined. So it'll go to the first undefined variable, and it'll say, okay, you need to define those variables. So we'll define those variables, and we'll say, I'm just going to make them constants. And goal color, and we're going to make this yellow, which I happen to know is a bunch of red and a bunch of green and not too much blue. And then we're going to have a goal X, and we'll set that to canvas width minus goal width. So we'll use that goal width, and I'm going to set goal width to canvas width over 20. So, you know, as I was mentioning in class the other day, this is a good idea to set all the other variables off this one variable. So I've got this variable that's saying, okay, the total width of my canvas will be this amount. And then if somebody decides to make the canvas super small like this, I still want to be able to see everything. So we'll just move it according to what the width is. And so this is going to be a pretty small goal width here with a canvas that's not very wide like that. But that's okay. We can refine that if we want to, but we're just trying to keep things super simple here, so we won't worry about that. So we'll have this height, and I'm going to make it also off the width. Oh wait, so this goal height is going to be also off the width, so it'll be kind of proportioned to this width, but I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. In fact, twice as big. So now we're going to have it'll be a rectangle that's taller than it is wide. And for our goal Y, I'm going to say canvas height over 2. Then I'm going to subtract goal height over 2. So that should center it on the y-axis. This goal x is just going to say be over to the right, but not off the screen. And you know what? We could also subtract like just a little bit of padding, right? So now it'll be like a little bit more off the side. So we should now have our goal. Let's make our ball. All right, so our ball, we're going to say oops, and I think what I want to do is say make it a different color, so it'll be purple pinkish. So our ball color and our ball X is going to be canvas width over 2. And our ball Y is going to be canvas height over 2. And our ball width is going to be canvas width over, oh, let's say 30. And our ball height, we're just going to give it the same value for now. All right, so now let's just see what we got. Let's get rid of this console. And you can see we're getting something. They're pretty small, but there we go. So that's not quite as small. And now we see we have this ball. And we have this goal. So we've got these two characters. And if we want to, we can make that ball move. So we'll do that now. We'll say function key pressed and if we console.log key pressed is one of those P5 built-in functions, and if we console.log key on key pressed, we should be able to see every key that gets entered. And you can see if I refresh the screen, these guys should move on the screen. Good. Now, if I type a key, you can see I get the different keys. I'm typing A, S, D, W. Those are the keys we're going to use. A to move left, D to move right, W to move up, S to move down. And what I'm going to do is say if key, and in JavaScript, to get a strict equality comparison, you use 3 equal signs. It's a little bit weird. You can also just use 1, but it's not as good an idea. So I'm going to say if that key is D, then we're going to say ball X plus equals ball speed. And we're going to have a problem now because this is a constant. So let's just take a look at that and see what happens when I type D. Ball speed, oh, ball speed is not defined. I need to say so now we'll try that again and we'll see assignment to constant variable. So we know this ball x and this ball y, we're going to make those let variables. And anything else we want to change on the fly, if we wanted to update the ball color, we could do that. We just have to make that a let as well. And then move to lets when my program complains. And I've mentioned that before in the past. So now we're getting this movement. That's awesome. So let's do one more thing here. And what we'll do is let's do a couple of things. First of all, let's go ahead and turn this into a function. So I'm going to say draw goal, and I'm going to say draw ball. So draw goal is going to be a function down here. And in that function, we're going to do this stuff. So I'm going to bring these values in. We'll pass them in here. So we'll say goal color, and then we'll pass in all the rest of this stuff. Okay, so we're going to pass in all those values from our main draw loop to this function. And then I'm going to use them in here. So I need to pass those in. And when I pass them in, I can make them more generic names. And so we'll just say X, Y, W, H. And it's usually a good idea to not use the same names that you're using in your main program in your function declarations. So we're going to define this function, pass these values in, and then we'll use them in here. Call X, Y, W, H. So now we've just taken that and just kind of tidied up our main draw loop. And that's why I like to do this kind of thing. And there's a lot of different ways to do this. We've also used classes, but we can just use functions. So we can do the same thing in here. We'll pass those values in. And then we use them in here. We'll say call X, Y, W, H. Call X, Y, W, H. Exactly the same thing as before. Let's see. Yeah, same thing. So we just refactored our code a little bit to make it a little bit cleaner. So now we're drawing the goal and we're drawing the ball. And you can see these functions are basically the same. One draws a rectangle and one draws an ellipse, but really similar. And if we were trying to be super smart or something, we could probably even make that one function. But I think it's better to keep them as separate functions, personally. All right, so we've got our ball going across the screen, and then what we need to do is we need to check and see if it has reached the goal or not. So, and I'm trying to keep this similar to what I did on the repos, so I'm gonna grab this, and I just realized these are going to be probably 3 videos because we're going to also add images maybe in the next video. So what we want to do is we want to check and see if we've reached the goal or not. And where's that? Trying to find that. All right, I'm just going to write it because I seem to have not done a great job at keeping that check. So let's see. In the draw loop, we're going to draw the goal and draw the ball. And we'll say check check goal. So we'll have this function called check goal, and what we're going to do is pass in some values and see if this ball, has made it to the goal. So I'm going to write another function called check goal. And it's gonna be an if else. And if we're at the goal, it's gonna return true. And if we're not at the goal, so we'll say const at goal is going to be equal to the return value of this function. This function is going to take in, it's going to take in these ball values, and it's going to take in these goal values. And actually we don't need the color, so we can not pass that in, but we'll pass in everything else. And it's gonna check if the ball is at the goal. So how do we do that? We're gonna say, and we're gonna pass in, we'll make these x1, y1, width 1, height 1, x2, y2, width 2, h2. And we're going to use all those variables. So we'll say if x1 plus width 1 is greater than x2. If the, oh wait, this should be over 2 because we're using a ball. And you know what? I'm just going to keep that width 1, and I'm going to say ball width over 2 here. And ball height over 2, because that means our function is more useful, more generally useful. But we know this is going to be a circle, so the size value is the whole width of it, and the distance between the center of the ball and the, let's just get that visual back on the screen. The distance between the center of the ball and the edge of the ball is the width over 2. Similarly, this is the height over 2. So we want to check whether this edge has made it to this spot right here, which is x2. We're also going to check whether this spot is below this, and this spot is above this, and this spot is on this side of this. So that means if we were to move this goal over to the other side, it would still work. So we're going to say if x1 plus the width of width 1, which is ball width over 2, then and x1 minus w1 is less than x2 plus w2. So the left edge of the ball is less than the right edge of the rectangle. And so we're just making these, we'll have 4 of these. y1 plus height 1 is less than y2 plus height 2. And y1 is less than, y1 plus h1 is greater than y2. So the bottom of the ball is past the line where the top of the rectangle is. And y1, let's see, y1 minus height 1 is less than y2 plus h2. Whew, that's a mouthful, right? But we're just checking to see whether that ball is in the goal, and if it is, we'll return true, and this at goal will be true. If it's not, then we'll return false. And now we can conditionally render this goal. We'll say if at goal, we'll say if not at goal. If it's false, then we're going to render this. So let's see if we can get that goal to disappear. We'll go d d d d d d d d d d d d d d d d d d d. It did it. We made it to the goal. Fantastic. So we have a game. Now, in the next video, I'm going to add images. So I'm going to use some Mario images, and you can use your own images. But before we go there, what I want you to do is take a minute and see if you can add these other keys to make this ball move in all 4 directions. All right, so there's a little challenge for you, and I will see you in the next